And we are live in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon. I'm John Townsend. Welcome to the Dr. Townsend Live Show. It's a weekly show where we answer questions and hopefully help people in their lives and relationships and emotions and growth and work and leadership and families and marriage and dating and parenting and being parented and what else? Spiritual values, the whole thing. It's we want to make life better for you. And we're here every Wednesday from 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time. Now, we haven't been off a while. I've been traveling a whole ton. And so thanks for being here because I love to do it when I'm on the road, but sometimes I'm on the road, I'm speaking, I have meetings, I can't do it this particular time. And we decided back in the day that, gosh, if I start doing random times, everybody gets confused. So it's this time. But we try to give you answers that matter and hear you out and hear you in a way that we get clarity for your question. And there's always, we're really big here about the why. You know, why do I feel this way? Why is my relationship acting this way? Why does this person treat me this way? Why am I discouraged? Now, there's the people that aren't interested in the why, and we call it the Bob Newhart stop it. Like, well, just stop that. Hey, well, it's extremely helpful, right? No, it's not helpful. We try to go to what's driving it because, you know, Jesus said a good tree makes good fruit and a bad tree makes bad fruit. So what's underneath? Maybe is it aloneness or is it trust issues or hurts in the past or trauma? What's driving the thing that's happening in your life and relationships? And we try to give an answer that means something that you can do. We're really actionable because some kind of vague thing about, well, try harder this week. Wake up in the morning and decide today's gonna be my day. It's not gonna work. We try to give something that really, really matters. So we're glad to be back. And our producer, Stacy, is here. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Townsend Show today. We're so glad that you guys are here. Just a couple of quick tips. If you are calling in, then you got the information via Dr. Townsend's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube account. And we're so glad that you're calling in. If you do call in, you're going to hear music for a little bit until your call is selected. And once it is, I will admit you into the call room and you'll be able to ask Dr. Townsend your question live and he will give you some helpful solutions. So let's go ahead and have a great day, guys. Let's get those calls coming in for Dr. Townsend.
Thank you, Stacy. So she does her thing about, you know, finding who in the queue is ready to talk and all that. And by the way, it's live. It's not like this is recorded. There will be a recording of this. You can always access that. But you can either talk to me live, which I like better. I think you get better answers from that because sort of I can hear you, you can hear me, and the communication's better. But you know what? If you're in a place where you can't do that, I suppose you're at work and you're, I don't know, in a hospital trying to keep patients alive. Maybe you have to text your answer. That's fine too, because Stacy will read the question to me and I'll answer it. Either way is fine. Either you or your voice. We don't see you. We see the voice. It's much easier. We did it for a while with the video part, but we're not up to the tech yet. The world is not ready for the live video thing. It's way too complicated. We'll do that one day, but just your voice. And we'll talk. And I think Perry is up. And so, hello, can you hear me, Perry?
Hello. Hi there, Perry. You are live on the Dr. Townsend Show. You can go ahead and ask Dr. Townsend your question.
Perry. Hello.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry. I was just I was too excited, so I was in the wrong place. The reason I have my weakest issue is boundary, Dr. Townsend. It's very hard for me to set the boundary because I try to be very sensitive to other people's needs, but I don't set up the boundary, even it bothers me. So I really wanted to know, and I have your book, and actually I have bought 20 of them, and I have given as a gift to a lot of people, but still I have a hard time disciplining and just applying what I have learned. So I just wanted to say what
Perry, that's just the greatest question because it's everybody's question. People say, gosh, I read all your books on it and it's still hard for me. And that's basically because the left side of the brain, which is the logical, rational, reasonable side that kind of understands these lists, you have to have that. But the right side is where the fear is and the compassion is. And, oh, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. So now we're going to help you with that side of your brain. So great question. So here's what I need to start with you, Perry, is imagine, what's the last situation? Just think of the last situation, maybe something that happened this week or a few weeks ago, where you wanted to set a boundary, but you didn't. Tell me briefly of that situation where your sensitivity got in the way.
Let's say, for example, I am a widow, that there is one married couple. The wife, whenever she get free time without calling me, she just show up, and no matter how busy I am or I have a plan, and she came inside, and when I was serving her something, I told her, please don't feed the dog because we don't want the dog to be trained in the wrong way. But she doesn't.
Wait a minute, are you saying, do you have a restaurant? Is that what you mean by service?
No. She came and sat in the counter, like that I brought something, we eat together. Like,
wait a minute, the counter, I want to get a feel for where you are. In the kitchen?
Yeah.
She was in your
kitchen
home.
Counter. I'm sorry. Yeah, she came inside.
She came to visit you in your home.
Yeah, I brought some goodies to eat, and I told her I don't feed the dog from the counter or table because
your friend brought the dog in, her own dog.
No, it was my dog. No, it was my dog.
Your friend wanted you to feed your dog cookies from the counter, and you're saying, I don't train my dog that way, right?
But she didn't listen. Okay. She didn't listen, and I was so kind of upset, but I put the anger or resentment on me. But no matter, again, I said that because I don't want him to learn bad manners, because every time we want to eat, he's going to come to the table. But she just ignored me, and she says, oh, sweetheart, like I don't exist. And she was feeding the dog.
And my guess is, Perry, because I'm going to help you with this, my guess is it's probably not the first time she hasn't listened to you. Fair enough?
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you're trying to train your dog the right way, but you have trained your friend the wrong way.
That's
right. You've trained your friend. I don't have to listen to Perry. She's just a sweet, nice person. I can do whatever the heck I want. So you're training your friend the wrong way, but you train your dog the right way. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to fix that. All right, I think the best thing for us to do is let's do a role play of this so you can get the feel of the thing. So I want you to be your friend. We'll do the same situation again. So I'll be the nice Perry, and I want you to, let's go through it. And when you ignore me, I'm going to handle it differently than you handle it. So you can go, oh, I can do that. I've got those skills. You ready?
Okay. Great. Good.
All right. I'm a dog person though. What's your dog's name?
Rod, R-O-D.
I love that. One of my best friends is named Rod. Okay. So your dog, and what kind of dog do you have, by the way?
Is a mixer of pit bull and lab. But he has more character of a lab than pit bull. He's the sweetest dog.
More of a chill, sweet, loving dog. Okay. Actually, I know some pit bulls that are sweet, but that's a whole different thing. All right. So did I invite you to my house?
No.
You just dropped by.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm gonna call your friend Beth. All right, so we won't embarrass her. All right, so you just knocked at the door. Hi, Beth. Come on in. Welcome to my home. Whatever she does.
No, just like the way I act, like I'm here, the bed. I just don't care if you welcome me or not. I feel like it's good. I come inside. Oh, and then instead of hugging me, she hugs the dog. She talks.
All right, she loves Rod. Okay.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm going to take control of this. All right. Beth, hey, I've got some snacks that I made over here on the kitchen counter. Would you like a little snack?
Sure, I would love to.
Great. Now, Beth, I know the snack was for you and me, but please don't give that to Rod. I want to train her that way. Now, do whatever she would do then.
Come on, Rod. Come on here, sweetheart. Come on,
Beth.
sit for you.
Beth,
and
sorry,
hold
Beth, please don't do it. Stop it. Please stop it. I'm your friend, but please stop it now.
Oh, I love your dog so much. Let me she doesn't even
Yeah.
say let me. She just give it to the
Yeah.
dog.
Okay, Beth, you already gave it to the dog, and now I care about you and our friendship. And it sounds like I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but it's not a big deal to me. It's not a little deal to me. I wish you had not done that, and I don't want you to ever do it again, Beth. Now, what would she do with that?
She just, believe me, she doesn't hear. She doesn't hear.
Oh,
She
then
keeps doing.
do that. Are you gonna? So she would just look at you, or look at the dog, or
No,
ignore you,
she
or what?
doesn't even look at me. She's like she is with the dog, and
So
I
she's
am
still
with the
all
dog.
right. So she's consciously not listening to you because she doesn't think that you'll follow up. So she's still playing with the dog, and I'm saying, Beth, you already gave Rod a cookie. Did you hear me, Beth? Beth, did you hear me? And now what I'm going to do?
Let me tell you what is the difference between you and me. That you did a great job. You look at it in your face. I didn't say I wasn't as strong.
You didn't insist on the eye contact, right?
Yes, I didn't.
So, but let's make it worse so you can do the hard way. So, okay, here I am. Okay, here's Rod.
Yes.
Your little nice lab pit bull. And here's Beth. And you're over here saying, Beth, and she's going, oh, he's a great doggy. Yes. And you're over here. And here's what I would do. I swear I would do this. I've done this. And so, oh, I would go like this. Beth, don't do it. Beth. Yes. And she reaches around. Beth, don't reach around. No more cookies for Rod. Do you hear me? Yes. Some people, you have to be like that. Now, did that sound like I was being mean?
No,
Perry?
No,
it's not mean
to myself.
Yes, you get an A for the class. So you're not mean to her. You don't want to be mean to yourself, but you have to speak to some people at a level they get it. We call it healthy escalation. Yes. Healthy escalation means Beth.
Yeah.
And then they finally go, what? Are you in the room? And you go, yeah, I'm in the room. I love you, but don't ever do that with Rod again.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Thank you. That was very good.
Perry, do me a favor. I'm so curious to see if this is going to work in other situations. Call us back in a week or two and say, gosh, I don't feel so scared anymore. And I got honest with people and I'm still a nice people and I'm not beating up Perry. I want to hear some good news from you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I
will work
on it. I really appreciate it.
Good luck.
Because this one example was enough for me. I don't need to repeat another example. This is just a very good sample.
Because you can do it in many areas.
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right. Coming back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Perry.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love Perry. She's the right person. She's like she wants to do the right thing. She knows that she can be a boundary. We can all be boundaries, man. I mean, goodness gracious, we all can be. And she wants to solve the problem, and she doesn't want to be a mean person, but she has to be direct and honest and all these things. And I'm very, very impressed with her. So, guys, give us a call. What's the number again, Stacy? I keep forgetting the number.
Okay, so if they would like to call in and ask you a question, they can dial.
Look how good Perry got a lot of good stuff. You want to do that too. So what's the number?
That's right. Everyone, the number is 1-877-853-5257. When you dial that number, you will need to enter a meeting code, and that code is 876-5437-2012. And in the meantime, John, you have a question from one of your Instagram followers. It says, his name is Peter, and he says to you, my wife and I have been together for 5 years. We both have great jobs, but she has been offered a job in another state that is far away from both of our families and would take our kids out of their schools that they have been in, and we would be there without support. It is a wonderful opportunity financially, but I am trying to get her to see that this would be a detrimental move for our family when we need the support of both of our parents in order to both be working.
I guess for childcare and stuff like that, I'm assuming.
That's kind of the gist of what he's saying. She refuses and says that if if I don't come on board, she will make the move without me and take the kids.
What?
What can I do?
Goodness gracious, she escalated quick. You know, Peter, my heart goes out to you. I mean, in a healthy marriage, people get together and say, I have this desire. I want to move. And the other one says, I have this desire. I want to stay. It's not wrong to have a desire if the desire is for a good thing. And then they say, okay, my priorities are this. And it happens to be, you know, like the way I look at it is God, the marriage, the kids, and all that. And the kids are the vulnerable ones here. They're the ones that don't have a choice. You got to really take their welfare into consideration. And so then they say, given that we've got these similar priorities, and money's important, and success, and ambition's a good thing too, but that's kind of not where marriage, God, and kids are. It's just not. So then healthy couples just go, okay, so how do we work the win-win? And sometimes there's a win-win, sometimes there's not. Now, the book Boundaries in Marriage, Henry and I wrote that about when you disagree and all the ways that you disagree, when one person's acting out and one person's not, or it's just a matter of style or a matter of values. There's a whole chapter in there about how to know about that. Get that book because it's got, I think, 7 sort of scenarios. You've got a serious one, though, for somebody to say, I'm willing to leave you and bring the kids for this. That concerns me because somebody's willing to jeopardize the marriage for a job. And to me, that's a real red flag in terms of somebody's values. So here's what I would think. I think you're done doing this by yourself, Peter. It's escalated beyond that. Beyond, okay, here I can say this, I can offer her this. If I were you, I would say we must get a marital counselor. Our marriage is in trouble. If you really feel like you should leave me for the job. And then if she says, I don't need to see a marital counselor, you do, then you go. Okay, I would like you to go there because I love you and I want a better marriage. But if you will not go, I will see a marital counselor and talk about you and the marriage and how to strategize this. I'd like for you to be there, but I'll make the strategies without you. And a high number, Peter, of spouses that are resistant to a third party will go, well, heck, they're talking about me, and with a smart person who's making plans for like addressing me, I better be into that conversation. They'll go. And others are just so resistant and defensive and impossible. You say, go ahead and do it. And if that's the case, you still go to the counselor and say, what do I do? And the counselor, she may say, try to bring her in. Well, she won't come in. But sooner or later, if your wife refuses help, refuses a third party, refuses to consider you and your feelings in the marriage, then, well, this is when I go into my number one now is the kids hat, because they don't have a choice. They're the vulnerable ones. And they're the ones that are being carted around in this thing. And I would say then that's when you have to say, then we got to get a lawyer, because I've got to protect the kids from you unearthing them and uprooting them and taking them away from my father for a job. And if you won't listen to a counselor type, honey, I don't want to do it because you're first for me, but I will do that. And I would do it in a heartbeat. When I say heartbeat, Peter, I don't mean I would do this impulsively or rashly. What I mean is you heard my due diligence. There's a process, the due diligence process, and get the book, get the Boundaries in Marriage book. But sooner or later, if somebody says, I don't care, my job is more important than my kids' happiness and our marriage, you do all the pleading and begging and compromise you can, then you see the professional, then you got it, you move legal. And I'm so sorry, and I will say a prayer for you.
Dr. Townsend, you have another caller that is coming in live to you now. Hello. You are live on the Dr. Townsend show. Go ahead and speak with Dr. Townsend.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I just turned my phone down. Oh my gosh. This is such a miracle. I'm shaking. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just turned my.
Okay. So if you would just, you might have this show going on 2 devices.
Okay.
So
there we go. I'm on the real phone now. I turned it off.
Perfect. There you go. All right.
Well, I just think this is a miracle. I can't say enough about Dr. Townsend and Henry Cloud and Steve Arterburn. I had talked with Steve years ago. This is Gigi calling from Arizona, now 70. And my parents were very verbally abusive and terrible to me for the last 30 years. And I learned as long as they had a roof and care from you guys and, were taken care of, that I was not expected to be treated that way any longer. So you folks literally saved my life, because my family either runs away or they kill themselves. And Dr. Arterburn had said for me to grieve at that time the loss of a real family and what I never had. Well, Dr. Townsend, my question is, my mom and dad passed 2 years ago in a beautiful, wonderful, clean, look out the window at a lake and mountain nursing home. And I wrote cards every week and called once a month when my husband was here to protect me, because I used to call every night. And to be honest, I have not grieved. And I feel the Lord has said to me, I'm a very strong believer, and I'm strong-willed, so he has to grab me by the neck. I feel that he said, Gigi, you grieved for 30 years. Relax and enjoy the life I have given you and the boundaries that you set. Am I wrong? Should I be crying for them and grieving for them? Because Dr. Townsend, I don't.
Gigi, grief is about something. Grief is about something that you had that was good that you lost. It sounds like you had so much toxicity and abuse that their passing is a relief to you, as opposed to something good that you lost. I don't think you lost anything very good, honestly.
Thank you, because I didn't. And I sit and I think, and I've shared with my husband, and he said, well, you know what the Lord told you. We've all told you that. You cried and wanted their love and affection for the last 30 years. Before my mother died, she told my husband, I don't care if she ever gets one thing I have. And Dr. Townsend, it's not what she had, but we lived all over the world, and there's Germany grandfather clock and the Hummels and the brass tables from Hong Kong. My husband got those to me after she died. That is my heritage, what I grew up with, not them. And I'm not angry, and I promise I'm not bitter, but I just wanted to know if it's okay that I don't have any sadness in my heart for them.
I'll tell you the one thing you might want to consider, Gigi. This happens sometimes. Sometimes when people have a really toxic, abusive, bad thing and the person leaves, sometimes the person does have a certain amount of grief and sadness over the good things that never happened. The good things that never happened. The love, the interest, the cuddling, the listening, the understanding, the attaching, the empathy, all that. And they go through a period of sadness when they think kind of wistfully, I had a mom and I had a dad, and I was a little girl and I needed their closeness and their love, and it never happened. And I'm just sad that it never happened. If I were you, I would not grieve over losing mom and dad. I think it was nuts. But I would spend some time reflecting and praying and talking to some people and say, here's the things the little girl Gigi never got, and I need to just say goodbye to them, because I'll get them in the present. Now, here I'm 70 and you're a young 70. I'll get love and support and faith and understanding. I'll get it now. But I have to admit, there's some wistfulness that the people that were supposed to have that job, left me. And I'm sad for the good that did not happen. I'm not missing the good that did happen. I need to have a period of grief for the good that never happened. That's what I'd say.
Well, thank you so much, because you said that. And my husband, he's sitting here. I had him turn the TV down. He is my biggest fan and supporter. And he has just been so good to me.
Well, see, that's the good part. He's going to help you, because I want your husband to help you make a list of 10 things that the little girl Gigi should have had and never had. And if you start feeling a little sniffly about that, and he'll bring you a Kleenex and you can cry about those, then you're done. But make that little list of the 10 things the little girl she should never get. And I think you're on your way, Gigi.
Well, you know what? I've passed, because earlier in another show, you had somebody do that, and I did that. So I'm
Well,
going to be
then-
your star patient.
Yeah, I mean, then now you get the star on your head. Way to go.
All right. Well, I so appreciate your time, and I do want you to know that through God's Word, because I haven't been a believer real long, and the boundary books, I feel that my life literally was saved.
Thank you, Gigi. God bless you, and I'm glad it was helpful, and keep up the good work.
Well, you keep up the shows and the good work. Love you all. Thank you so much.
you
Your
too.
God is
All right.
mightily using you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You know, it's really important to consider in grief. Some people do feel guilty when they say, gosh, I was with this abusive person for 30 years and they're dead now, or they moved or whatever. And I'm not sad. I'm kind of relieved, like, goodness gracious, ding dong, the witch is dead. I remember that came to my brain in a strange way. And they feel bad that they don't miss them. But how do you miss being abused? How do you miss being toxified? Well, there's two things you can miss. Gigi and I talked about one of those because that was her situation, but there's another one. The first one is, I miss the good that I never had. And that is a legitimate grief, and it won't last forever. And I hate it when people say, well, you'll grieve forever. No, you'll feel some sad moments from time to time. But if you really jump into grief, you will not have grieve forever. The people that never grieve and they've got to feel happy all the time. And, I'm full of I don't know, serotonin. They have medical problems and brain problems and GI problems because they never grieved the way the Bible says grieve. So you grieve the good you did not have, but you also grieve the elements of good that the relationship did have. I didn't have time to go into that with Gigi. If we'd had time, I would have said, she was your mom and you were around her a long time. Did she ever, I don't know, tell you you're pretty? Now you might say, only once. Well, you got to grieve that once. Or did she ever listen to you or say you're smart or help you when you fell down? Now, I guess there are some people who say, no, never. My parents were totally zombie nightmares without a conscience, and they should have been in federal prison forever. Okay, maybe. But there's always some elements, let's call them some slivers of love, some slivers of interest, some slivers of attunement that you remember. And there were some nights they took me to the pony ride. That was a nice day. Okay. It's not much, but there's some slivers of good. You'll have to grieve that too. Don't grieve the abuse. Don't grieve the trauma. Grieve the slivers, grieve what you didn't have, and you'll find energy and you'll feel better and you'll be a nicer person and you'll feel, guess what, even more? You'll feel empowered. Grieving empowers you. Why do you think the book of Isaiah says about Jesus, the leader of leaders, he was a man well acquainted with grief and sorrow. He knew he had to move into it to be the person he needed to be. Anyway,
Okay, John, you have several questions stacking up here. Would you like the next one?
Let me just say a word about where we come from, Stacy.
Okay.
You might know about this, but if you like this material, if you've been listening to what I do for a while, you might want to think about if this is your time to get a real professional training, not like a weekend course, but a real profession. This is your 2.0, 3.0 career that God's been saying it's time to get out. COVID's over. Let's go get some. I don't like my job, my career. You want to consider becoming a student of the Townsend Institute for Leadership and Counseling. We're not a weekend conference. We are a fully accredited degree program in 3 areas. You can get a master's degree or a credential in counseling. You can be a shrink, Christian shrink, and I'll train you. My people will train you. You can get a master's. We can get a doctorate in counseling now. We just started our doctorate last year. I forgot. You can get a master's or credential in leadership. You want to start your own entrepreneurial gig. You want to start your own thing. You want to be in the corporate world. You want to be a pastor. You want to be in leadership and middle management. Doctorate, or you can get a master's or a credential in leadership, organizational leadership. The third one is in executive coaching consulting. Coaching is going bananas. People are getting coaching degrees and finding great careers. If you want to be a coach for people, a master's or credential on that. We're fully online, fully accredited. We've got all the gold standards of all the accreditations. People are getting great jobs. We have many, many, many students here, and they're all over the world. And if you're interested in that, go to Townsend Institute, sign up. Every few weeks, I'll get online and a bunch of people will come in and say, online, I'm listening, got a lot of questions. And I'll give it to you straight about what we are, what we do, and what your chances are, and what your opportunities are. So this is it. If God's saying, get out there, get your new passion thing going, We want to be there for you. We always say it, the way we see it is, you're passionate about being a counselor or a leader or a coach. It's like a little tree in your backyard. It's kind of a frail tree. We want to be your garden. We want to support it, nurture it, grow it up. Let us be your garden. Get that passion into a career. Okay, Stacey, we got some people here, right?
Okay, so Stephen is asking you, he says that he knows this, he follows you on social media, and he knows that this posting is, kind of lighthearted and joking. It's to help you understand, it's the one where you say, all aspects of our lives are deeply affected by the presence or absence of relationships. Friendships are more than a luxury, They are a necessity. And no, your pet doesn't count, and
and all the pet owners are saying, what was that about? Right.
Yes. And so his question is, I know that this was lighthearted and I get it, but I personally have an emotional support dog because I live in a very isolated area. What about those of us who just don't have very many people in our lives, and we do have to depend on our pet for emotional support?
Yeah. Steve, I'm so glad you asked it. I'm a dog person myself, always have been, and I totally get that. And in fact, there's research. Interesting. You'll appreciate this. They do a lot of studies of longevity, how long people can live and how long they make it in life. And they found out that one of the indicators of longevity and a long, happy life is that people that had a pet lived longer than people that did not have a pet. So, bully for Stephen, you're right about that. So when I said that statement about that doesn't count, I wasn't talking about people that don't have a choice. Now, maybe I can. So if I miscommunicate, I didn't think about a Stephen out there who doesn't have access to people. And I look at it this way. Relationship is relationship, whether it's God or people or something warm and fuzzy that has affection. But we all need relational nutrients. We need the nutrients of encouragement and acceptance and support and truth and activity. We need all those things. That's my whole model is where you're getting your relational nutrients and who you're giving it to. And when there is not a person and you do not have access to a person, absolutely, a pet is wonderful. Now, let me push you a tad, Stephen, just a little tad. You contacted me through the web. What does that mean? Well, I mean, say that's because online, since that's come in, even people that are total isolation, I mean, people that are living as scientists in Antarctica or people that are living in the Sahara Desert, if you've got access to the web, it's kind of a different story. It's not as good. It's not as good as face-to-face with a person. Nothing. It's because God made that number one. But we are finding that people can transmit relational nutrients of encouragement and support and presence and understanding and empathy and affirmation and validation. They can do that online. I have done it tons of times with my own clients. I've got somebody, other side of the country I can't get to. We'll get online and we'll have a conversation. They'll come, well, go, I could tell you cared and you gave me some answers. In fact, that's kind of what this show was about. It's an online way of having a relationship. So I like to tell people, look, God did make, I'm a ribeye guy. I just love a medium rare, a medium ribeye, bone in, dry aged. It's my thing. That's the best. God made the ultimate to be the best. And so your dog is present with you. Well, that's wonderful. But a face-to-face with a human, if it's not possible, a Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever, with a person, or even a phone call, or even a text, it's a hamburger. If you put the ingredients of a ribeye in a Waring blender, what's a more modern Waring blender? People are making their smoothies with it. Is it NutriBullet, Stacey? NutriBullet, right?
NutriBullet or Ninja.
All right, let's say Ninja. It's kind of cooler. So you put your ribeye in a Ninja, and you're smooshing it up, and you put a hamburger in your other Ninja, and then you take a scientist and say, what's the ingredient? They'll say they're virtually the same thing. Certain amount of iron, protein, fat, sugar, carb. They're virtually the same thing, but they're a different experience. One tastes a heck of a lot better than the other, but they both keep you alive, keep you healthy, keep yourself prepared. The same thing is true. It will not be as good as a person face to face. And Fido's great. But do not forget the power of Zoom online connections that are warm. I can see when a person's eye tears up and I'll go, what just happened there? And they'll say, you understand me. Go for the hamburger. Keep fighting. Go for the hamburger too. Thank you, Stephen.
Okay, John, let's remind everyone, John is live with you guys for another roughly 25 minutes. You can call in and ask him your questions at 1-877-853-5257. Use ID code 876-5437-2012 to enter the waiting room. And your next question comes from Tiffany. She wants to call in, but she's sitting at her desk at work with her earbuds in, and she's watching and listening to the show right now.
I understand your pain, Tiffany. I get it.
Via her Facebook.
You don't want the boss to
feed.
walk by. That's right. Okay.
She says, this is a very tender question, but I live in Arizona and I have a close friend that I went to high school with in Texas whose child was one of the lives taken in the shootings.
In Uvalde? Oh.
She says, I am not in a financial place to be able to get in the car and drive to her or hop on a plane and go to her. How can I best support her in such a heartbreaking circumstance from this much distance?
This is so brutal, Tiffany. I'm so sorry for what your friend has been through. There aren't words. There aren't just not words for so many levels of the loss of a child and the way it happened and all that. I'm so glad that she's got a friend like you, and I'm so sorry for what she's going through. It's just unimaginable. When people ask, okay, I don't have access and somebody's been through something, catastrophic, what do I do? Here's what I always tell people. Number one, there's two things. It comes down to two things, I think. One is you reach out to them and you say, what can I do? See, some people know what they need. Even in a crazy, psychotic, so sad time as they might say, can you call me and just listen? Or can I tell you what she was like? Or can I tell you I'm angry at what happened? Or can I tell you how much I don't like my life or whatever? We call that containing. Some people have enough psychological personal experience to say, I know what I need. I need you to tell me I'm a good person. I need you to tell that God will be just one day. I need to tell you that it's just awful and you listen. Some people know what they need, and that's great. Or, can you send over a Harry and David's, or can you send over Hello Fresh? Because we can't even cook right now. What do you need? Now, a certain percentage of people will go, I don't know. I can't even get out of bed. I can't even move. I don't even know what you need. And that's what you always default to this. In my book, people feel I talk about the relational nutrients. When in doubt, and they don't know what they need, it's like they're at the restaurant, you're at the restaurant, and you're saying, what do you need? And I can't even read the menu. It's like another language. I don't even know. Then what you do is you default to what we call attunement. Default to attunement. When you don't know what's going on, default to attunement. What I mean by attunement, that's when you say, well, then, if you don't know what you need, I'm here with you. And I want you to say or feel whatever you need to. I'm just showing the phone. I'm with you. And people will feel like relieved. Like, you mean you don't want to give me 3 points of wisdom or, tell me what to do with my energy? No, I'm not. I'm with you. And they have very few people that will listen to the bad stuff. They have people that say, cheer up. It's going to be okay. And that's okay later, not now. But if you're the one that says, just tell me how you're doing, how are you feeling? And they'll start to open up because they got tons of feelings, and they'll come away going, a lot of times they'll say, can you call tomorrow and do that too? Or can you call a couple of days from now? I don't have anybody I can just vent to, and you attend to it. They won't use those words, but they feel better. That's number one. And that's number two. And Tiffany, a great passage is in the book of Job. I keep forgetting. I think it's in 2 or 6. I think it's in 6. I'll check. Where he had these massive losses, right? And it says that his three friends, his three kind of knuckleheaded, judgmental friends, it says they sat with him 7 days and 7 nights and did not speak a word to him, for they saw his grief was very great. The only good thing those three friends did of the whole book was they shut up and listened. The Jews call it sitting Shiva. Be a Shiva friend. That's a gift. It's not just nothing. It's a big something. Okay.
Okay. John, your next question comes from Christina, and she's in Tennessee, and she is asking you how she can tell the difference between making sacrifices or enabling by giving. She says she saw your posting where you can tell if helping the other person becomes better or worse, but wants to know a little bit more. How can she, if you can expand, how can she tell the difference if she is making a sacrifice and enabling someone?
Who is this again?
Christina.
Hi, Christina. It's an important issue. I don't remember what thing I wrote that you said. I tend to write a lot of things, but what you heard me say about, is it helping or not helping? That's part of I have a 5-point filter, I call it, for how do I know when I'm supporting versus enabling. So at the risk of, repeating myself, the answer is found in those 5. So I hope I'm not like making it worse, but it's one of 5 things. And it's the way I constructed it is, it's when we go, is a support, is it a sacrifice that's a good sacrifice, is a worthy sacrifice, or is a sacrifice that's going to make things worse? There's 5 questions to ask yourself. The first is it a can't or a want? Can they do it, or won't they? Like, if your kid's sitting doing video games and they say, make me a sandwich to your mom, a codependent mother will say, oh, I'll give you a sandwich. You need to be working on your Top Gun Maverick skills. Oh, that's bad. She'll say, honey, here's the kitchen, and here's the peanut butter jar. This is called a knife. Here's a bed. You can do it. And that's a can't or a want. It can be in money. It can be in love. It can be in energy or whatever. But can they do it, or do they not want to do it? That's number 1. The second one is, do you have the resource to give it to them? You said sacrifice. Now, I wish we were talking longer in person, because I want to know what you meant by sacrifice. It's a big word. But do you have the money? It comes down to generally 3 things: money, time, and energy. Do you have the money and the time and the energy to, give it? And if you don't have the money or the time and energy, and you're the risk of tanking your own life, well, then maybe you can't. The third thing, gosh, I remember all 5. I don't have them written down right here. This should be a book. Well, it's different. I got some books in my head, right? The third one is, do they have skin in the game? In other words, are they making commitment too? And we found this out. I study missions a lot because I love missions. Found out if you just give a bunch of money to the developing countries, in a year they come back and that's happened, because they didn't understand that we would require that of them. There's time, accountability, measuring, contingencies, skin in the game. I tell my kids, I love to take on vacations, but you got to pay 20% of it, because I pay 80, you pay 20, because they're grown, but they can't do kind of the vacations that I can do because I'm older. They're happy to pay the 20. So that's skin in the game. How many I do? Is that 3? Fourth one is, your emotional state. Bible says that God loves a cheerful giver. It says, do not give resentfully or under compulsion. So if you go, I really kind of resent that I'm doing this for this person, or I feel like I'm a bad person if I don't, that's compulsion. Compulsion is the guilt feeling. Resentment is the I'm mad at you. Well, that's a sign that maybe something's wrong. And the 5th one is the one you sort of referred to, which is, what is the fruit? What is the outcome? What is the result? What are the consequences? Is the consequence more autonomy and responsibility on their part, or more dependency? Now, sometimes people stay dependent. I mean, if you got somebody who's can never make it for their own, the pearl you always have with you. But in lots of cases, besides those that you just will be caring for them forever, that's the calling of God. Are they more free and saying, hey, thanks for the money and the time and energy. I'm okay now, and things are better, and I got my own answers. And boy, you launched me. Thank you for the launch. Thank you for the Kickstarter, so to speak. The money Kickstarter, the time Kickstarter, the energy Kickstarter. There's others who P. Thank you for the money, time, energy. That was last week. Got some more? More, please. Next week. How about that? More, please. That's more dependency. You take those 5 things, Christina, and you'll find the answer. It pretty much works every time. It's just a little filter for you. Hope that helps.
Okay, John, you have a live caller on. Caller, you are live with Dr. Townsend. Go ahead with your question.
Hello, Dr. Townsend. This is Nathan.
Hi, Nathan. Where are you in the world, by the way, Nathan?
Oh, I'm in Rayford, North Carolina. It's on the eastern side of the state.
I know, I'm from North Carolina. And I know where Rayford is, and you're around some pretty serious barbecue, but that's a whole different talk. So anyway.
Yeah.
What's your question, Nathan?
Some good barbecue here. Hey, this is something I've been reflecting on a while. I recently moved here about 2 years ago, got a house, and then I had one of my good buddies from high school, and his wife, who I knew a little bit, come to stay here. Just 'cause we're good friends, I thought it'd be fun. And it kind of maybe I guess went a little downhill. I had some conflict with his wife, but I didn't, I wanted them to be happy, so I kind of didn't express it well, the conflict and stuff. And then it just kind of progressed from there. And I'm just trying to, eventually, it got so bad that we didn't talk to each other, and then they just, they didn't have I guess a lot of money. I mean, they didn't really work necessarily, so I guess we kind of had different lifestyles, but we really had good times.
Was your buddy kind of caught in the middle, but siding with her? So that kind of a deal?
I wouldn't say so. I think he was more, he wanted her to be happy too, but I kind of almost hid it from him. I thought he kind of knew, but I kind of hid it from him because they had conflict too that I could sense, and he shared some stuff with me, but the last thing I wanted was for them to break up, a husband and wife.
No, I get it.
So I
okay, now I need you to
took the
formulate a
side
question. I got a good background, Nathan, but I need you to formulate a question now.
Okay. Could I have just been honest with my friend about what was going on and just direct and, hey, you guys need to move out. I'm really not getting along with your wife. I don't see eye to eye. And these are specific things she's done that has really upset me. And you guys need to go. Or is the right answer to be a servant and to continue to offer to someone, even though where's that line being taken advantage of and being, generous and giving of the stuff that you've been gifted with?
Nathan, it's a big, big question everybody has. And you gave one scenario of kind of just, quarantine them out. The other is serve them. And I think there's something else that you have not considered that I would actually prescribe. And that is conversation where you say, I want to work this out if things will change. If you never had the conversations, they never knew how frustrated you were and how unfair it was that they're not working and she's kind of nuts. I think everybody needs to hear, before you say, I'm ending the relationship, you need to hear, if you'll change these 3 things, we can work this out. And if they go, I don't want to change, okay, we got to go. So I would have, I don't know where you are in this, I would have said, okay, here's 5, and I know Nathan, I'm not a perfect person, but Sally does this, this, and this, and it's really, really hard for me. And Sally, I want you in the room too. And can you change this? It might be your attitude or whether you wash dishes or not, who knows? And also, you guys need to contribute to what we've got. I can't let it be free. And here's my standards. Sally changes this. Is something I need to change that I can use? So you kind of say, here's what we need. And then they go, gosh, we're so sorry. Nathan, we didn't get it that her attitude bothers you. She'll change it. She'll wash dishes and we'll put a certain amount of money in the kitty. Then you go, well, let's try it out. But you haven't done either. Now, to the second part of your question, it is not mean to say this isn't working.
Hmm.
In fact, Jesus said sometimes you got to shake the dust off your sandals. And people talk, a lot of times they'll take the Bible and say, do I need to serve and serve and serve? Yeah, we're called to serve. But the Bible never says to serve narcissism. It never says to serve toxicity. In fact, it does say, if you look at Psalm 101, Nathan, in Psalm 101, David says, I will not let those who are faithless minister to me in my house. He literally talks about the house. Look it up. You got a house in Rayford. He says, I will not let the faithless be with me in my house. It doesn't say serve them. You serve people when they're not toxic and they're responsible. But if they are toxic and they don't change, you got to save your life. So that's where you go with it. Try that second approach and see what happens.
Okay.
Thanks, Nathan.
I was always afraid of heightened conflict if I were to say stuff that was bothering me, and especially when we're living in the same house, to bring that stuff up.
And if that's the case, Nathan, then you probably won't be able to do it because I can feel your anxiety as I'm hearing you, which means one of two things: either get my book, How to Have That Difficult Conversation That You've Been Avoiding, which is skills for people that are we're all kind of constantly avoiding. Get the book and learn the skills, or call me back and role play it, and we'll role play the conversation together. Either one of those can help, but there's ways to go with this. Hey, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.
You bet. So we've given that serving thing. We do not understand what the Bible says. You serve when it's not going to be throwing things down a hole where people just get more selfish. I don't want to serve somebody to help them become a more comfortable narcissist whose life's going to hell. That's not serving them. It's not all grace. Salvation's all by grace, but life is grace and truth. So just remember that.
Okay, John.
Yeah.
I think you have time for one more question.
Sure.
Did you have something else you wanted to share?
No, I was. You're kind of listening to me. You ought not to do that. I was just thinking about all the people that have, because they were trained to serve, have inadvertently, without wanting to, have made a selfish person more selfish. It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Don't do it. Grace and truth.
Absolutely. Okay, you have a question from Jeanette, and she is out of Arkansas. And she says, Dr. Townsend, I follow you on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'm always encouraged by what you are sharing. Recently, you shared something about loss being hard and that grief comes in waves, and to be patient with yourself, that you can't do grief on demand. It's not like streaming. And I am trying to figure out how I can grieve the loss of a family member who sexually abused me as a child. And then it came to light later in adult years, but the person, my parents didn't come to my aid, and they wanted me to act like everything was fine when I would be at family gatherings. And I was never able to have any kind of closure or forgiveness conversation with him. I have forgiven him in my heart, but I really don't know how to grieve myself as a little girl going through that.
Jeanette, I'm so sorry. In fact, there's a double trauma aspect to what you're experiencing, because you got traumatized in an awful abusive way by a trusted person. And then your parents, by not giving you a space to talk about, even wanting you to deny this, that's a secondary trauma on the trauma. And it is so hard and so difficult. I would like to suggest something different than grief right now, Jeanette. I suggest healing. When we grieve before we've healed, then we're not grieving with all of ourselves. Jesus said, love God with mind, soul, body, spirit, everything. And if your trust muscle is still broken because they took away your trust, or your safety muscle is broken because they took away safety, or your power muscle is broken because you don't feel like you have power because you give power to other people, all those parts of you if they're not intact and at least functioning, to start grieving before you go, I've got to get healthy. I've got to go back, like it says in Joel chapter 2, I've got to go back and get a growth from where on the things that the locust stole away from me. I've got to learn how to trust again. I've got to learn how to have boundaries again. I'm going to learn how to be a functioning adult. If you can't be healthy, the grief is not as effective. So I would just say, once you get in therapy and say, I've got an old trauma, and it's time to deal with it. What my parents did that was destructive, and what this person did. And as you get stronger and you process this stuff, you know what to do. You'll find out. I found people I can trust. I've got God, but now I've got some people in my life, a really good therapist, maybe a good small group, a good church. I've got people that listen to me. They're different than mom and dad. They're different than the abuser. And I'm taking them into my brain. And I've also learned to say no and have limits. And I will not put up with certain things, even though I'm a loving person. All that's cool stuff. What you'll find is then you start feeling sad. Like, I'm strong enough now to let it go. If you grieve before you've healed, what I found is kind of dangerous. Why I'm just kind of camping on this. Some people in their grief, they'll go back to abusive people. Isn't that interesting? Because they didn't go to therapy, they didn't get the healing, they didn't get the process, the emotional process. As they grieve, guess what? They start missing them. Well, they weren't that bad. Or maybe it was I caused it, or I love them so much. And they will return to the abusers or abusive people like them that fit that category, get in trouble again. Get strong, get healthy. Grief will come next.
Okay, John, I actually think you have time for one more question. Let's
do it.
This question comes from another John, and he does not say where he is, but he is chiming in on your Twitter. And he is asking you, how do I decide if my leadership role has come to an end? I have been with this company for 22 years, seen lots of changes. I am ready to retire and enjoy my grandchildren and my family for the latter part of my years. But I also have a desire to continue to see this company grow, and I feel guilty for leaving.
You know, I work with leaders like you all across the country, John. People running, multi-billion-dollar enterprises, and it's the same conflict that you feel. And I can tell you, sort of like the options and a way to think about this. The first one is some people, it's not binary. Binary means black and white. It's not like life, grandkids, having a good time, or work. They don't go binary, they go, I can slow down. If you've got a company that you love and all that, then you just tell everybody, okay, I'll be here another year or two, and let's get a succession plan, find somebody smart and she or he can do the job, and you train that person, mentor them, and then you kind of become emeritus. And emeritus is cool because you kind of can walk around and help people out, but you don't have a lot of responsibilities. Now, so many people love the emeritus role. They don't need the money, and the company is still in good hands, and they got all the time they want. That's one option. And I'm not a fan of the binary. I like the transitional better. But you said something else, and I'm putting I took my leadership hat off. I am taking it off now. I'm putting the psychology hat on. You said, I feel guilty. That's not the sign of a John that loves this company, loves what they do, just love to rock and roll and, working with Smith shoes and making the best shoes in the whole world or whatever you're doing. I don't hear this passion. I hear guilt. Well, if the company can't survive without you, you got to do one or two things. You've either got to find a good successor, because if you're indispensable, you've got a problem. It's either, it should not be, I don't want to be not generous when I say this, not knowing your situation, but if you're indispensable, the company may be not the right company. Not every company should be sustainable. And it may be a time to say, hi guys, I'll give you a severance and that's it. The other thing though is, if there's someone else who could be another you, a mini you that grows up in the hat, that's the way to go. But I want you to pay attention to the guilt. I didn't hear the passion, I felt the guilt. And don't keep a company alive as an employment agency. Worst thing you can do is to say, I've got 20 employees, 40 employees. Why are you doing this? So they'll have a job. That is not the way responsibility works. It's got to be for other reasons. Good luck with it.
Okay, John, that's it for us today.
Well, I am so glad to be back. I love these questions. You guys are struggling with life and hitting your challenges, and thank you for being with us. Love the contact. We're here on Wednesdays, 2 to 3 Pacific, and call in and do the 877 thing, write in. But I'm hoping that the answers will make your life better this week. So have a good week.